Have you ever noticed when you walk into any room and you'll see men clutching at fixed identities the way a drowning sailor clutches driftwood job titles, diplomas, tribal banners, the same haircut they wore in college? They think permanence equals power. The Sigma male thinks the opposite. To him, permanence is paralysis. He sees every version of himself as nothing more than a temporary operating system useful until it isn't. The minute it limits his range, he formats the drive, installs a new build, and walks on, leaving even his own memories gasping to catch up. Most people call that reckless. He calls it scheduled evolution, because the only thing more dangerous than being unrecognizable to others is being predictable to yourself. This isn't chameleon theater, it's biochemical warfare on stagnation. If you've ever felt allergic to the idea of being summarized in a single sentence, read on. The next 10 truths will hit like a controlled demolition of every label you've used to stay comfortable. 1. The comfort zone rots from the inside. Life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Comfort feels like nourishment until the mold appears. The Sigma male hunts that first spore of decay and torches it before it spreads. Staying too long in any role, husband, entrepreneur, scholar, soldier, inevitably breeds complacency. Skills plateau, instincts dull. He refuses the slow death of competence turning into ornament. So he rips himself from the circle of familiarity and forces a fresh start again and again. He's not chasing perpetual excitement, he's avoiding rot. Each new version of himself is forged under friction, new terrain, new metrics, new rules. Muscle tears so it can rebuild thicker. The mind fractures so it can reorganize stronger. What most men call instability, he calls inoculation against irrelevance. Second, static identity invites predators. If you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. Predictability is a broadcast to rivals. This is where I will be. This is how I think. Remaining one version of yourself allows competitors, be they business adversaries, ideological opponents, or internal vices, to triangulate and exploit your unchanging patterns. The Sigma male clouds the radar. He shows a silhouette once, then moves in angles no observer mapped. By the time anyone reverse engineers his methods, he has already mutated into a tactic their intel can't read. He doesn't fear external threats, he starves them. Variable identity is his counter-surveillance, his guerrilla camouflage in a landscape where everyone else files flight plans. 3. Evolution demands self-cannibalism. We ought to be reckless in our willingness to discard even the most cherished notion. The Sigma male isn't sentimental about the scaffolds that got him here. He'll cannibalize his own achievements for scrap metal if it buys him a new edge. Certificates become kindling. Former networks become test data. Reputation becomes fertilizer. Each self-destruction is an act of respect for the future stranger he intends to become. This isn't self-sabotage, it's self-reinvestment. Like a snake shedding skin, he leaves yesterday's facade on the forest floor dry, fragile, and unable to move. Meanwhile, he glides forward, sharper than before. 4 goals have expiration dates. What gets us into trouble is not what we don't know, it's what we know for sure that just isn't so. Most men chain themselves to 5-year blueprints. The Sigma uses smaller, deadlier bursts, 90-day sprints, 12-week conversions, single-digit objectives. Long timelines breed arrogance, assuming variables will remain tame. Short timelines force visceral accountability. Once the goal is hit, he recalibrates. If the target stops making him faster, it's obsolete. He keeps a graveyard of goals behind him, each a tribute to objectives conquered and evacuated before they fossilized into identifications. 5. Exponential skill stacking requires constant versioning. Absorb what is useful, discard what is not, add what is uniquely your own. A single identity can hold only so many competencies before it becomes bloated. The Sigma solves by serially re-architecting himself. He'll spend 6 months mastering wilderness medicine, then a year cracking advanced mathematics, then tear both down to prototype a hybrid field strategy no textbook teaches. He isn't collecting badges. He's forging alloy skills that fuse into compounds no specialist can replicate. Every version of him is a different crucible, designed to test how well disparate knowledges ignite under stress. When the metal sets, he breaks the mold. 6. Memory is a mirror, not a master. We are always the same age inside. Memory is a double-edged sword, valuable for what it teaches, lethal when it commands. Childhood labels, family expectations, and past praises become psychological anchors disguised as comfort. They creep into your internal monologue, shaping how you see yourself, how you move, how you limit your next step. The Sigma male has no patience for that kind of slow death. He audits memory like a digital saboteur. If it's redundant, it gets deleted. If it's useful, it gets encrypted. If it's sentimental noise that weakens his precision, it's shredded. He doesn't sit in nostalgia, he interrogates it. Memories are reference points, not roadblocks. He doesn't carry them like a burden, he files them like classified data, occasionally referenced, never worshipped. Because the moment memory becomes a mandate, evolution stops. By refusing to let memory ossify into identity, he stays liquid. He remains architect, not archivist, building who he must become, not guarding who he once was. 7. Stagnation is expensive. Reinvention is free. The reasonable man adapts himself to the world. The unreasonable one insists on trying to adapt the world to himself. Society treats reinvention like a last resort, a button you smash only after the system breaks you. Corporate sabbaticals, expensive retreats, identity crises disguised as career changes, these are the rituals of men who waited too long. They patch cracks after the structure collapses. The Sigma male doesn't wait for collapse. He builds obsolescence into his timeline. To him, reinvention isn't an event, it's maintenance. He retools himself constantly, without ceremony. New language patterns at breakfast, tactical thought experiments by lunch, a rewritten belief system by dusk. No announcement, no breakdown, just pure, seamless self-editing in real time. Because evolution isn't dramatic, it's disciplined. The cost of transformation is low when you don't let yourself rot first. While others need a life crisis to justify pivoting, the Sigma moves in silence, small iterations. Constant rewrites. He doesn't need applause for changing. He needs oxygen. And reinvention is how he breathes. By treating transformation like hygiene instead of emergency surgery, he stays bankrupt of excuses and wealthy in optionality. 8. Routine builds skill. Ritual builds prison. Discipline equals freedom. Paradox. He values discipline yet distrusts routine. How? Discipline anchors to principles, sleep cycles, nutrition, physical conditioning, while routine ossifies into predictable choreography. The Sigma maintains foundational disciplines, but rotates the choreography. Deadlift cycles switch to sandbag carries. Deep reading migrates from philosophy to topology. The pillars remain. The paint never dries. It's the difference between a fortress that renovates continuously and a castle that crumbles because the walls stop breathing. 9. Death is the final OS upgrade. To die is different from what anyone supposed, and luckier. Every day lived exactly like the last is rehearsal for a premature burial. The Sigma sees mortality as a project deadline with no extension. Each self-reinvention is a sprint against that deadline, extracting maximum permutations of existence before the hardware shuts down. He is not afraid of dying unknown. He is terrified of dying duplicated, leaving behind nothing but a static carbon copy of a former self. Revolution until rigor mortis. 10. The unknowable self is the ultimate strategic asset. Know thyself is incomplete. The Sigma revises, know thyself, then becomes someone your former self couldn't predict. By engineering perpetual unfamiliarity within, he stays immune to complacency, immune to external definition, immune to the gravitational pull of yesterday's victories. He doesn't just refuse to be the same person for too long, he weaponizes that refusal into a tactical advantage. Friends can't anticipate him, rivals can't model him. Even he wakes up a stranger, eager to test the limits of whatever consciousness now inhabits his frame. Final note, burn your shadows before they bury you. He who jumps into the void owes no explanation to those who stand and watch. The world will beg you to be legible, categorizable, constant. It will hand you trophies for consistency and build comfort traps around your old triumphs. The Sigma male declines. He breaks the glass, walks barefoot across the shards, and vanishes into a horizon nobody else sees. Do the same. Audit every version of yourself for expiry dates. Torch the masks once they crack. Refuse the compliment that chains you to yesterday's skin, because the only person worth being is the one you haven't met yet. Version obsolete at sunrise.